All right, good morning. Before I start today's episode, I thought I would give you a little bit more of an update on some other things. So, yes, I have my Etsy shop and I have dropped off some things at Blissful Seeds, like I said last time, and basically what I have there is what is listed on Etsy. But if you want one of the ones that is listed on Etsy, um, I and it's at Blissful Seeds, what I can do is I should have a duplicate kit that I can make up special for you. If I don't have that kit, then it would cost extra because I'll have to go buy that kit and make it. Usually they take me about not a full day because I don't spend all day on it, but maybe I can usually do it in like 2 hours on one day and then maybe 2 hours on the next day. Um, so depending on how complicated it is, I would say anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. The first one I did took me a full month, but that was because I was doing it on and off and was sick and didn't want to work on it while I was sick because I didn't want the person that was gonna get it to become sick. Excuse me. So, that's pretty much the update on that. And let's see. Um, I still have Patreon for the transcripts and the ad-free audio of the episodes. And I also still have Spotify and Google and Apple and other podcast platforms for this podcast. I think I have it on all the podcast platforms. So today's episode is called The Mask We Wear. And the subtitle is Unpacking Brené Brown, Learning Challenges and the Courage to Be Seen. So think about the last time you were in a meeting, a classroom, or even a dinner with friends, and you realized you totally lost the thread. Maybe the words on the screen started blurring, or your brain just stopped translating the audio. What was your first instinct? For most of us with invisible learning challenges, whether it's ADHD, dyslexia, or auditory processing, our instinct isn't just isn't to ask for help. It's to mask. We nod, we smile, we work twice as hard to look like we're fine, while underneath we're drowning in the fear that someone will find out we're different. Today we're looking at the work of Dr. Brené Brown, specifically her research on shame, perfectionism, and vulnerability, and how it provides a survival guide for those of us living with learning challenges the world can't see. We're going to talk about why we hide, the cost of that hiding, and how to finally put down the armor. Let's get into the weeds of Brené Brown's definition of shame. She calls it the intense, painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Apply that to a learning challenge. For many of us, childhood was a series of you just why can't you just remember your homework? Why can't you just sit still? Why can't you just read the instructions correctly? When we hear why can't you just enough times, we stop seeing the missed deadline as a mistake, which is guilt. And we start seeing ourselves as the problem, which is shame. Um, Guilt is I made a mistake. I need a better system. Shame is I am a mistake. I don't belong in this job or this degree program. The reason this is so much, sorry, whoops, scrolled a little too much there. The reason this is so much heavier for us is that our struggle is invisible. If you had a broken leg, people wouldn't ask why you aren't running. But because your brain processes information differently, the world mistakes a neurological difference for character flaw. We spend 15 minutes of every hour just trying to look like we aren't struggling. That is exhausting. And Brené says shame thrives on three things: secrecy, silence, and judgment. To protect ourselves from that shame, we build armor. Brené talks about perfectionism as a 20-ton shield we carry around thinking it will protect us from being hurt. In our community, we call this masking. Masking is the perfectionist's best friend. It's staying up until 3 a.m. to triple check an email because you're terrified of a typo that makes you look unintelligent. It's nodding along in a meeting when you've lost the thread because you're scared to ask for a repeat. But here's the truth. Brené's research teaches us you cannot connect while you're wearing armor. If you are so busy pretending to be normal, in quotes, no one can see the real you, including the brilliant, creative, out of the box parts of your neurodivergent brain. Perfectionism isn't about self improvement, it's about seeking approval. When we live for approval, we lose our authentic selves. I want you to take a breath and ask yourself, how much energy am I spending today just trying to make sure no one notices my struggle? What could I do with that energy if I just let it be known? I'm going to reread that because I think that's powerful. I want you to take a breath and ask yourself, how much energy am I spending today just trying to make sure no one notices my struggle? What could I do with that energy if I just let it be known? So, what happens when you decide to be brave? You tell your boss, I'm a visual learner. Can we put these instructions in an email? Or you tell a friend, I'm overwhelmed by the noise in here. Can we move? Or for me, I'm an audio learner. So even if I'm not taking notes in a meeting, I am absorbing the information. And I've learned to take notes on important information because sometimes I don't remember everything, but usually I'm pretty good at remembering things. Um, and I also found if um, when I make a to-do list, if I use my microphone and I speak it out loud, I actually remember it better than if I'm just typing it because my visual memory is my worst. And so if I'm speaking it out loud and I read over it to make sure that it got it right with the microphone, then I will remember it better than just typing it. My kinesthetic memory is usually second to my audio memory, but for whatever reason, I don't remember as much when I'm typing as when I'm talking out loud and typing at the same time. So I try to do both, or I try to do audio uh, that will, I mean, speech to text that will type out what I'm saying and usually it gets it right. Sometimes it doesn't, so I read it over. Anyways, um, so I was saying, what happens when you decide to be brave? You tell your boss, I'm a visual learner. Can we put these instructions in an email? Or you tell your friend, I'm overwhelmed by the noise in here. Can we move? Immediately after, you'll likely experience what Brene calls a vulnerability hangover. It's that cringe feeling in your chest. You'll think, why did I say that? Now they think I'm incompetent. I want to tell you, stay in the arena. That hangover is just the feeling of your shame muscles stretching. It's the feeling of you finally choosing yourself over the mask. The antidote to shame is empathy. When you finally speak your truth to someone who understands, shame dies. It cannot survive being spoken. Find your tribe. The people who say me too is the fastest way to realize you are not broken. I'm going to reread that. So, the antidote to shame is empathy. When you finally speak your truth to someone who understands, shame dies. It cannot survive being spoken. Find your tribe. The people who say me too is the fastest way to realize you are not broken. Um, so for me, when I'm around my friends that know I have NVLD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, um, and Erland's syndrome, I am completely myself. Um, when I'm around new people that don't know about all of those neurodivergent things I just named, and chronic migraines, I'm more selective with what I share. But slowly, as I get to know that person better, then I'll share more. Um, and usually I'm around people that know that I'm neurodivergent and then I have chronic migraines, but that's not always the case. So sometimes, like I said, I'm selective with what I share. I don't usually mask my activity or my traits because I found that just takes too much energy for me to do. Excuse me. And usually I'm around people that are pretty welcoming and pretty accepting of who I am. So luckily, I don't have to mask, but I know that's not always true for everybody. You're going to be in different environments than I am. So maybe some of what Brené Brown is suggesting will help you. And I mean, Dr. Brené Brown. Anyways, we're wrapping up today with a quote from Theodore Roosevelt that Brené often uses. Credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat. Again, that was credit belonged to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat. If you are living with an invisible learning challenge, or more than one challenge, you are in that arena every single day. You are fighting a battle that most people don't even see. And today I want to give you a dare to help you put down that 20-ton shield. The dare, the strategic reveal. This week, pick one low stakes moment where you usually hide and choose to be seen instead. If you're in a conversation and your processing speed isn't keeping up, try saying, I want to make sure I'm giving this the attention it deserves. Can you give me a second to process that? If you're struggling with a wall of text, ask, could we jump on a quick 2-minute call? I'm a verbal processor and I want to make sure I've got this right. Uh, every time you do this, you are telling your shame that it doesn't run the show anymore. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But remember, courage is contagious. When you own your story, you give the people around you the permission to own theirs too. You are not broken. You're just wired for a different kind of greatness. I'm Jennifer Purcell, and this is Living with Invisible Learning Challenges. I'll see you in the arena next week.